Welcome back, everyone. I'm Katie Couric, along with Nia Vardalos. You should say, I'm Nia Vardalos.
Okay, ready? Go.
I'm Katie Couric.
I'm Nia Vardalos.
And we're back. We've heard amazing stories today of how adoption can bring a family together, but our next guests were separated by an adoption more than 40 years ago.
I had no idea that I was adopted. I was 12 years old when I found out. Kind of threw me for a loop.
It was 1963. I had graduated from high school and I had gone on to become an actress.
I never fantasized about my birth mother, never. That was too scary for me.
In those days, abortions were not allowed. But if you were in a mental hospital, you could have a therapeutic abortion. And so my parents had put me into the hospital so I could get a safe therapeutic abortion. But I said no.
It wasn't until my youngest daughter was a few years old that I decided to write to Catholic Social Services and just find out a little bit of information about my birth family, just so I could have something to pass on to them. They sent me a very detailed form. About 10, 12 years later, I read it over and I said, you know what, I think I'm gonna Google a few things. And so I Googled Writer, Pennsylvania, Mannix. And up comes a New York Times obituary for a Daniel Pratt Mannix. It said he left behind a daughter named Julie. So I decided to Google Julie Mannix, and up comes an IMDb website for a Julie Mannix who had been an actress with a career dating back to the 1960s. And it told me that she had married a television producer by the name of Frank von Zerneck in 1965. And I thought, wow, well, I was born in 1964. If this is them and I leave it alone and 10 years go by and I don't act on it, I might regret it.
One day, I saw a certified letter. It started, "Dear Mr. and Mrs. von Zerneck, I understand that you might know something about my parents." I couldn't breathe. I just screamed. We went to the phone and we called her. And it was so strange because her voice, when she answered hello, was my voice.
I recognized my voice and her voice immediately. After I got done giving her a brief synopsis of my childhood, she paused, took in a breath, and said, well, I'm your mother. It was a moment that I thought would never be mine. It was a powerful moment.
Please welcome Julie von Zerneck and her daughter, Kathy Hatfield. Such a moving story, and so wonderful that you found each other. When you started, Kathy, trying to find out about your birth mother, were you nervous?
It was quite by accident that I found them. I wasn't really searching per se. Catholic Social Services had sent me information, non-identifying information, about 10 years prior. And I thought, you know, I think I'm gonna Google a few things. And within 15 minutes, I had found my mother, my father, and my brother and my sister. The information online told me that I had a sister named Danielle who had been in the movie La Bamba, and she played the lead role of Donna. I went out and I rented La Bamba, and I watched her scenes again and again and again. And I called my husband over again and I said, do you see? We have the same laugh, the same mannerisms, the same tilt of the head. And he said, Kathy, you can see yourself in anybody if you try hard enough.
But it was true because Julie married your dad, Frank, and the two of them, you all had 2 more children, and you were a big fan of your sister. Also, she was on General Hospital.
She was.
You were a big fan of her before you even knew she was your sister.
I watched her every day for 2 years on General Hospital. She was the love interest of John Stamos. I had no idea when I was watching that show that I was watching my sister.
And Julie, did you ever think about trying to find Kathy?
Yes. My husband and I, we wrote a note and we asked Catholic Charities to put it in her file. The other thing that we did was when we were married, Frank gave me my wedding ring and we carved, or had engraved, the date of her birth in our wedding ring. And we thought, if we ever find her, we will show that we'd always been thinking about her.
That's so wonderful. And it must be also nice. I mean, I think a lot of times people look for their birth mothers, but you also got to meet your birth father too, which is so wonderful. So Frank, was it wonderful for you to meet Kathy?
Well, it was when Julie telephoned Kathy that night, and she said, ultimately, I'm your mother. And she said, you know, I married your father. Would you like to speak to him? And I got on the phone with Kathy, and it just doesn't get any better than that.
And now you must feel like you have a wonderful second mom, in a way, who was actually your first mom.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Beautifully put.
Yes.
Beautifully
And
put.
Julie and Frank, you are a perfect testament to what we, as mothers who get to adopt our children, we are teaching our children that the phrase given up is no longer possible. We don't say it anymore. We say you were placed for adoption. And the enduring love that you have for Kathy and the engraving in your ring is what we are trying to say every day to our daughter. You were so loved that they gave you to us to give you a chance at a better life.
Anyway, we're so happy that you've been reunited.
Yeah.
So nice to have a happy ending too, and so happy that you're together and enjoying your mom and dad and your siblings. You can read, by the way, more about Julie and Kathy's reunion in their new book, Secret Storms. When we come back, a bit of advice for all of you at home who may be thinking about adoption. We'll be right back.